Recently, I was reading about what the perfect conditions are for a controlled burn. As I'm learning more and more about the outdoors, I've started paying attention to some of these things. And last weekend, I noticed a large fire and was a bit concerned and started asking around if anyone knew what it was, and soon found out that it was a controlled burn. You see, the difference between a wildfire and a controlled burn is that a wildfire brings devastation, and a controlled burn allows for restoration of the land, for fertile ground, and new growth. Oftentimes, when we look at situations in our life that have been hurtful or damaging, a lot of times they might seem like a wildfire, something that has blazed a horrific path of destruction in our lives. But oftentimes, I think there's more. I think that if we're willing to submit those circumstances and surrender them to the fact that though God did not cause them to happen or occur, He can use them. He can bring restoration to them. He can use all things for the glory of those who love Him. So Ash Wednesday was just this past week, and I've been thinking a lot about ashes. And I've been thinking a lot of the ashes in my own life. Recently, I found myself just having a woe is me day, and I was thinking about some of the struggles and trials in my life. And in the midst of the moment, it suddenly occurred to me that 3 is a number that appears in my life many times. It started in that I was actually the 3rd child in my family. My parents' first baby lived 3 days and passed away from complications of being extremely premature, and she had a hole in her heart and also had Down syndrome. Then they adopted my brother and were surprised to learn that they were expecting a 3rd baby, which was me. I was then born 3 months premature and spent 3 months in the NICU. And then later in life, in high school, I had 3 major devastating knee injuries and knee surgeries before I graduated high school. After high school, in my married life, I have had 3 miscarriages in our journey to have children, which have all been extremely challenging and just heartbreaking, and continue to this day to stir something inside of me that aches. And there have been many other examples. Those are just a few to name. But I found myself pretty angry for a few moments with, all right, Lord, I understood the first time, and I learned a lesson the first time, or I thought I saw your will or your work the first time. And why do we need to keep doing this? And clear as day, I felt the Lord say, have you forgotten that I arose from the dead on the 3rd day? What's dead in your life that keeps coming up and you think, God, why are you bringing this back? Why is this happening again? I know that all hope looked like it was gone the day Jesus was crucified. I know that on the 2nd day it looked as though hope was lost. But I know on the 3rd day Jesus arose from the dead. So I want to ask you today to look at the wildfire in your life and maybe see, is there an area that it's more of a controlled burn, that though someone else may have set the woods on fire, though maybe decisions we've made have caused our own forest fire, can you see how God is creating the perfect conditions to control the flames and to bring up fertile soil for good work to grow from it? When we look in God's Word in Romans Romans 8 in the Message, the title is Present Sufferings and Future Glory. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. For the creation awaits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. For the creation was subjected to frustration, not by its own choice, but by the will of the one who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God. So since Jesus died on the cross, once and for all, it was taken, it was finished. And when it looked as though all hope was lost, on the third day, Jesus arose from the dead. So I ask you, what's dead in your life? That looks like maybe not just once or twice. Maybe it's even more than 3 times, and you keep asking yourself, God, why? Maybe you're angry and heartbroken and hurt. Today I ask you to start looking for the controlled burn in the midst of the fire. And I want you to start looking for how God is going to use it for His glory. Not because He caused it, but that He can work all things for the good of those who love Him.